So once again in my battle to not upgrade the truck, not add things, but clean them up on it, because really I'm really happy with this. This is the truck. This is good. I don't need to add any more stuff. But like the stuff I've done when I was younger, maybe didn't know I was doing this best, like this. The cable for my winch relocation goes right by this leaf spring, and that just bugs me. It's not right. It's cheesy looking. I gotta fix it. So I found a place for it to go through, right between the shroud and the frame rail. You'll see when it's done, but just trying to do some cleanup work on this thing. All right, so we'll do some finalizing and everything, but now the cord runs up there into the winch. Terrible camera angle. Runs up in there through the fan shroud from the front of the truck. You don't see it. It's not gonna get snagged on a branch or something. Much better. Let's see if I can get an angle right there for you. It'll just curve up and go down. I put a little piece of rubber hose on the cross member just to protect them. Another thing I'm gonna do today is the wiring that goes across the core support here. I never had the little holder for it, and I got the one for the back. And so I got this guy and I'm gonna shove that in there. Just doing some cleanup work. My hat look good? Oh yeah. We're wearing a hat today. I'm a butthead. Got the day off, tried to get some dirt delivered, but no one seems to be open. So we're gonna do a video. I was gonna do like just a little story on this on my like Instagram, but I decided to make a whole feature film about it. And today we are fixing wiring harness. Well, I'll explain. Tightening. Okay, so I'll probably cut in the 2 clips I'm gonna do. I already did. It's here, so that's in. Okay. Now the next thing is we got this wire right here for our main harness, and I rewrapped it with some electrical tape to do that factory good look. And then I kind of was like, this is wrong. I think it's supposed to be behind it. I looked behind, looked online, and it is supposed to be behind those mounts right there. So we're gonna cut that wire right there, unbolt it. I already started by doing this, and honestly this thing doesn't work, and it kind of keeps it cleaner if it's not there, so I might just kind of do that. But yeah, so we're gonna cut that, move this over, extend those wires and a bunch of crap to make it just look cleaner under here, because it's honestly just been one of the things of this engine bay is it's always just looked really messy to me, and it's not terrible, but it's always just looked messy. I'm weird about it, so let's fix that. So first thing is obviously take the battery terminal off of here, and it looks like that is a 3/8. I guess let's see. It's not a 3/8. I don't know socket sizes. Okay, so I ended up having to cut. I cut these. These are my relay wires, my fog light, and then whatever this yellow one is goes into this harness from this plug. So I don't know quite what the deal is with that, but I don't really care. I'm just gonna. Doesn't really matter. So we're gonna shove this behind that fender, and then we'll see what we gotta do. And actually, before I do anything, I noticed a little bit of corrosion. The internal harness is new on this truck. A little bit of corrosion on there, and this plug is just kind of dirty looking. So I'm gonna clean that up and spray that from WD-40. Okay, so now I've got this whole bolted back together, and this harness goes behind there now. I'll kind of fold it. Oh, a little wires are a little crusty. What I'll do is this little aftermarket wire here, what I will do is instead of running it straight to there, I'm going to run it into this harness like this and then have it come down, and it'll look a lot more factory. And like even these ones right here, they just don't look that good. I don't even know what those are for right now. You got this oil pressure sensor line here. It should be longer than it is. You know what? I'll make that look better too, because that looks just terrible. Oh, what can we do there? I don't know. See, I could also have these go a more straight shot up into there. I'm okay with wires coming out of there. That's fine. It just should look better. So I'm going to extend those. This yellow one right here, it doesn't need to be extended. It's probably fine. And I'll get that all dealt with, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I ended up extending those 2 wires. Everything's good. I just used 2 red ones. They're the same gauge. It's fine. So it looks a lot more correct now. Like it looks like something that you would see. You got your wiring coming up here. You got one. There might have never been wires coming through here. That hole might not even be original. I have no idea. But it looks like it's meant to be now. And obviously this is the next thing. So let's see if we can straighten that out and just kind of deal with it. You don't really need a tubing bender. I have one. I might use it just to make some really nice bends. But honestly, with these, you can really fake it. And probably what I'm going to do, put a really tight bend behind this little flange here and then run it as far as I can and then dip it back down. Okay, so I just did a little bend like that over it. Pretty smooth radius. It could be a little better, but honestly, that already looks miles better from what it was before. And then what I'll end up doing over here is I'll wrap that harness too, and I'll just have it come down in the black loom and you'll never see it. Next thing I kind of noticed, I want to tidy up these brake lines. They just look like they've been taken apart 40 times and they're all kind of mangled. I'll be careful with them not to like hurt them or anything, but I just want to straighten them out a little bit. So, you know, I don't know, I'll grab my tubing bender and just kind of reverse some of the bends to have them come more up like that. See if I can get that one a more straight shot. See what I can do about that, and then mount this better, my proportioning valve. Just see if I can tie into that bolt or something, or even a zip tie would be better than just having it loose like that. Just some stuff I put off that I really need to get to. I don't even know if you can tell. I straightened them out a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy and break something or pinch a line off or just have a bad time. So I'm going to leave them there for now. It still bugs me. It's something I want to come back to, but it's not a today thing. And for mounting this, I thought of, it's got these two mounting holes right here. That's not really going to work. That's got a bigger bolt in it. I think I'm going to drill a hole in here. I'm going to make a standoff. I have some metric stainless bolts. I'll see if they're long enough. If not, I'll end up doing something else, but we'll see if I can make that work. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with it. This is a lot. It's part of the truck now. It's sturdy. And all that is a 10mm bolt with a fender washer, nut, fender washer, then a nut. Holds it nice and good on there. These lines, I can clean them up a little bit. I will eventually, but we're doing this. That's just a lot better than it was. This section of the truck already looks a lot better. Just so that being held up straight is nice. Okay, what is next? I gotta learn to breathe. I know I've said that before, but I'm really bad at breathing when I'm doing this. Who's the next victim? Oh, this is my next victim. So when I put a new power steering line set in, this little 90 here is just kind of bent just a little up. And so this line started rubbing through the inner fender. And so I had to put a little cushion right there. And I'm sure it's rubbing into the cushion now. Oh yeah, sure enough. You can see the little lines and grooves in there. It'll eat through that eventually. Oh yeah, damn near halfway eaten through on that. So it'll eat through that line. And it already put a little scar in it. So let's try to pry that down a little bit so you don't have to have this anymore. So I did kind of notice after taking that out, it kind of trained the line to get, you can see the notch it already put in that line. It already kind of trained it to be down, but I'm going to bend it down just to help it out a little bit, just in case, because I know it'll want to flex back up. So earlier when I ended up doing the winch wiring, I didn't really deal with this one. I think I'm just going to zip tie it to the rest of the wires going down, just to keep it nice and tight. And the next thing is this little orange connector, or this yellow connector, has bugged me. I hate this on wiring harnesses. When people buy these cheap O'Reilly's ends, like either cut the yellow off or just use an actual crimp one with a black covering. So that'll be the next thing I deal with. Because this yellow, it's not protecting anything. It is not, this is bare right here. This is not protecting anything when that's right there. So pointless. Okay, so before I even got to the horn button, I took this part of the harness and I tied it back in here. I just zip tied it to itself a little bit, and there's these holes in my, what do they call this? I can't remember the name right now. There are these two holes here. The bottom one's just a dummy bolt, just to fill the hole, but the top one here goes into one of those zip ties with the little mounting thing on it. So that tidied that up really good. One thing I noticed about that horn, though, is the bracket is absolutely bent to shit. So I'm going to fix that before I end up plugging it in. And now I'm trying to figure out, no, it definitely goes this way. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to straighten that bracket out, and then I'll extend this wire reach over there, because now it's just a little taut. Well, it looks like I'll have to make a run into town, because I am fresh out. I don't know if I've made a cool thing about this before, but this is my... this is my little wiring cart, or wire-in cart. Yeah, I did really good in high school. Oh, I already fucked it up just for the video. What did I do? Oh, yeah. Hold on a second. Okay, we're all good now. This is my electrical tape collection. As you can see, I have a little bit of electrical tape, and it got caught up in the thing. I paid for none of it. Also, this was like all on the side of the road. I like there's a place called Ballard Reuse in Seattle. They like go through old people's houses, take all the stuff worth money, and then resell it for twice as much after they put the word vintage on it. And they had all this out front, so I took it. You know, it's just nice little wiring thing. You gotta have, like, honestly, this is all just wiring. You know, I want a bigger box. I want like a whole cart, like one of those little Harbor Freight roll carts, because that's how much you like need if you really want to do everything the right way when you're doing it. Okay, so a little bit ago I talked about how I like to make my connections, and so I'm going to do a little showing of how to make a really nice factory looking connection. So you're going to start it off with your wire. This is the same green as the horn. I actually bought this just for that. You're going to need your little butt connectors, or not butt connectors, but quick connectors. They are 1/4-inch female quick disconnects. Discapadambo rapido heramba. Whatever it means. Some cutters, crimpers, and a torch. Oh, and this. Heat shrink. So let's open up our wire here. Open that. I'm gonna do this without any cuts. Get one of your little guys out of your box there. Unwrap our wire. This is just going to be a factory looking, very respectable connection that no one can talk shit on your wiring if you do this. If they do, then they got something weird. So first I'm going to cut our heat shrink. I like to do about, you don't want it to look too long because it can look wrong. So you got your connector here. You want it to at least cover it and then go onto the wire a little bit. So we're going to do like, it's like 3/4 by, it's like 7/8 of an inch. Obviously it varies, you can do whatever you want to. Next thing to do is on the connector here, you can see we have this little blue portion on the end of it. Ripping that off. Ugly. Boom, blue's gone. Okay. Now we're gonna take our wire here. Oh, and actually first I gotta open up this connector a little bit just because I didn't quite have the right sizes there. Yeah, all you gotta do is put your flush cuts in there and you'll open it right up for a degree gauge wire. Okay, and now we're gonna take our wire here and let's cut it. Cut it like 3/8 of an inch down, or I mean, not cut it. Strip it. I don't have my strippers in the disparate. Oh, I'm bleeding. Wouldn't be wiring if I wasn't bleeding. All right, got that pulled off, and I don't always twist them. If it's really small gauge wires, really thin strands, twisting it makes it easier. But if it's a thicker gauge wire like this, twisting them can actually cause it to get loose. Because when you twist it, you bind it down on itself and make it thicker. And then when you crunch it, you're crunched onto that thicker height. And over time, it can straighten itself back out again and you'll lose the crimp. So let's take our heat shrink section here. Kind of hard, so I'll fold it up. Get it on here as well as I can. This is why a lot of people don't do this, is because this takes like 5 minutes every time you go to do one little connection, so it just takes a while. But it's the difference between something looking really nice and not. Okay, so we got our wire, heat shrink in the end there. Let's take our little connector here and just notice how much it overlaps. You don't want it to stick too far into the actual connector because then it won't work as a connector. But you also don't want it to, you don't want to have too much space between the wire and the end of it. So I'm actually going to cut it, it's showing off my blood. I'm going to shorten it like 1/8 of an inch. You just want it to be in the crimping zone. You don't really want any wire sticking out. There's no reason for it. So I guess cut it, like strip it like 1/4 inch on instead of 3/8 like I was talking. Okay, straighten that out. Get this guy fit on here. Now you can see kind of what we have there. That's just loose on there with our heat shrink right there. Grab your crimpers of choice and you're gonna really just bite down on it real hard. That's what I like to do, at least. Like, I really like tight crimps. At work, I use a pair of snap-on ones. I don't know the exact part number. Is that right? No, that's not the right section. I use a snap-on pair, And they are really nice because you can really reef down on the Snapple ones. I bought cheaper pairs and I've bent them just trying to get a tight crimp just because I'm weird about it. I have to have it really tight. So let's just find out which one's the best. I've never done this in this crimper, so I don't know yet. Oh, there goes our wire. Get that all situated. All right, let's see how that crimps. Like I said, really tight connection. Oh, and that looks absolutely beautiful. Where's the camera? Focus on it. Let me get out of it. Now, I'll flip the camera around and show you real quick. So I am cutting it. Just so I can get it to focus. You can just see it's a really nice crimp. Another part about crimping it is you have a pair of crimpers like this. You can see how one side has this little ridge in the middle. You want to put the side where the two, like if this is your crimp and it goes around the wire like this, you want that ridge to be right here so that these really curl down around and lock onto it. So last little thing is take our heat shrink. A lot of wind, so try to do it in the bed of the truck. I'm just gonna be really careful, don't want to burn it. This is why heat guns are great, because you won't burn it. Move that down a little bit. That looks good. And the heat shrink is honestly 90% just because I think it looks nice to put a little bit on there. I'm sure it helps out, but that is mostly what it is for. Keep nice even heat on it. So it's kind of shitty heat shrink, but that's fine. All right, now you can see what I would call, this is an absolutely very factory looking plug-in. Very nice. Heat shrink could have been a little shorter, but honestly, I'm fine with it. I'm happy. More is better than none. Heat shrink stops just at the base of it. This is just a really good way to make a solid, nice, reliable connection that'll last a long time. So let's snip it and we'll bring it up to the front. I just grabbed one as an example, but what would you rather look at in your wiring harness? Right? I mean, so also, I'm even going crazy on this. I degloved one of these little butt connectors to take out and you can buy these without the stuff on it. I just didn't have that. So I'm going to use this, crimp that, and put heat shrink over it, and then I'll show you the repair. It's going to look very nice. You'll understand why you got to go through this effort. Okay, I know I've spent way too much time on this one connection, but just to kind of show, it looks nice. And this obviously could have been soldered. I don't have power, or I would have soldered it. My soldering iron is electric, not a gas one. But it looks nice. It looks proper. You can tell it's been repaired, but it's been repaired the right way. So, on to the next thing. I did, when I went to O'Reilly's to get those, I bought some stuff to make the battery look a little better. I got these little donut ring things. I've never actually put them on a vehicle, but they were sitting next to the counter, and I was like, I gotta get them. So, we're gonna shove those on there, clean up the battery, and just make it look nice. Okay, so I think that looks very clean now. Those two little cotton grommets, whatever you call them, put on some of the little grease on here. This terminal keeps getting a lot of corrosion and stuff on it. I gotta clean that out and figure it out. I already had to wire brush the crap out of this a little while ago. But I also got rid of, kind of mutilated the little, like, go handle as everyone refers to it. And I don't know. It's a little busy, and this battery really isn't that hard or heavy to get out. I don't take my battery out ever. So, it's fine. So I think that I'm really happy with that. This section right here is definitely a section to clean up. I'm working my way kind of this way, if you haven't noticed. And I kind of remembered, I got this. Oh, and boy, another wire. Trying to, it's looking good. It's looking good. Just got to work. We're working our way over. So I think I'm going to deal with this. This is my little wire to go down to my fog lights. I used to have, is it from my fog? Yeah, it is from my fog lights. And they're grounded through. I don't like that they're grounded through the truck. It's just the way the lights are, but I don't know. Gotta figure out, shouldn't be resting on there. It hasn't ever hurt it or anything, but I should find a little better way to rig that up. either go under the core support, either go under the core support or something. I'll figure that out and I'll get back to it. All right, wire is now gone. I pretty much what I did is I took a little pigtail and I fished it down through there, and I used it as a fish tape to run it down along this bottom intake. And you can barely see the wire just right there, just where it comes up around. Essentially what I did is I just put it under the headlight bucket, and instead of going through this hole, it just goes between the fender and the cowl, and there's plenty of room for it. It's not going to get pinched or anything. And it's actually a shorter run, but now that's reconnected in there, and I'm kind of over to this spot now. And this has just been a spot that it's just a lot going on here, just because, you know, this truck never had this, so we got to find a place for things. And I'm kind of looking around. Let me zoom out a little bit. I've got my negative here. Oh, grease on there. And I've got this extra ground wire that came off of it, and it goes to the body here. And I'm thinking, I don't know, because I don't want to get... I don't know, I was thinking of getting rid of this body ground, but I think what I'm going to do is I will find a better way to run it, just to make it so that there's not an extra wire here. Because if I run it around the backside of the battery, it'll just look nicer. And I don't even have to necessarily ground it there. I could ground it anywhere else on the body. So I think that's my next thing, is to make this either... I'm not going to get rid of it. I'll keep it body ground, just because it's reliable. It helps things be good. This has to be this way. This is for the winch. I have the line going down there. That could definitely use some cleaning up. I didn't realize it had gotten so close to the alternator there. Ugh. But I'll find a new place for this, and I'm going to deal with this winch line and just kind of tidy it up a little bit. So that's the next project. I just had the worst thing ever happen. I was about to get started on that, and I was like, ooh, I could use a hot link right now. So I went over to the barbecue, and I was going to light it up. And I remembered that I stole propane out of my trailer because I forgot to... Well, okay, so I have a big propane tank, but my driveway looks like this right now. And I can't drive down it. I could lug it... Yeah, I'm going to lug it down here and swap it because I want hot link right now. I want hot link. So now I have to do half an hour worth of fucking around, or put it on the quad or something. I don't know. Why am I talking about this? Because I'm hungry. All right, I changed my mind. As much fun as that would be, I'm gonna throw the bucket on this. That'll be much better. Oh, the reason why I can't drive down the driveway is because the truck has four-wheel drive, but the front axle has a broken U-joint. I don't really want to fuck anything up, so I'm just gonna do this. Just in case, you know, anyone with one of these tractors, you gotta start it. Turn on your fuel. These always fall off. Hop on here. Whatever the start switch is. Pull the choke out. And there you go. You got yourself a running tractor. Oh yeah. My auto tech teacher said I didn't have a bright future. What do you think of that, Mr. McHugh? Huh? Looks pretty bright to me. Yeah. You know, this poor tractor sat out at my parents' property in the woods for like 15 years, and then I brought it home to their house, and I lived there to fix it up, and a tree fell on it at that place instead of the 15 years of it sitting in the woods. Ain't that something? I went to preheat the barbecue after doing all that propane, and then company called me. I'm trying to get my driveway put in, trying to get some rock in, and I started talking to him for like 10 minutes, like, oh shit, I have the barbecue on. You know, this is the ideal hot link lunch here. I'm probably gonna have to put in a thing for people to skip this because I'm going on here. Just random sourdough bread, just because what I got. Hot links, mustard, ketchup. There's not even any chocolate in here. fuck. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's good stuff. Okay, so after a whole lot of messing around, this is what I kind of came up with as my final thing. Just, yeah, I thought it was a good balance of keeping what I had here and getting rid of what was unnecessary. So I have this takeoff for the positive side of the terminal. It's not necessarily necessary. I could have like just gone straight to this from that, and I could have, for this unfused wire, I could have done that too. But I just decided it's nice to have this. It's a really nice sturdy mounting point to have a secondary positive terminal. And you know, if I'm ever doing something and I add something else in the future, it's great. And then here's my relay for my fog lamps. It's just, I switched out all the connectors on the end to that same style connector I showed you earlier. And it's just, this is a much better looking system. It's still a lot going on in one little area. You know, you got wire going there, this going there, but it's much more organized now. I think it's a lot better than it was. Also, for the winch negative wire, I simply ran it, instead of having it come up and zip tie to this, I just ran it down below and then it comes up now. I think that's a better looking system right there. I got my positive one here. This cable I should honestly replace. It's kind of seen rougher days, but not a today project. That's a later project. And we had these wires coming out of the firewall, and this hole kills me. I was gonna do this whole like aftermarket fuel injection thing on it, and I ground out that hole to put the harness through, and then it was just a nightmare, and I didn't want to deal with it, and I was dealing with someone else's used parts, and it was just stupid. So I took it all out and just put a carburetor back on. Honestly, I'm totally happy with the carburetor. I should have just done that the whole time. But now I have this big gaping hole in my firewall that I ruined a firewall. I did it. I fucked it up. And eventually, when I have the time and a welder, I will probably just take a piece of sheet metal, drill a 1/2-inch hole in it, find out the correct spot, and weld it in, sand it up, make it look really nice and original, just because I hate it that much that I did that to this truck. I'm sorry. But anyways, going through that were 2 wires that came to, it was grounded here at this little, I kept the self-tap right here. I could have moved this whole thing under here, but instead of drilling another hole, I decided to keep it. It's fine. But anyways, I had these 2 wires coming in here. I could not remember what they were for. I followed them inside, and it's for my flashlight that I have in here. And after I put this flashlight in, I added a aftermarket fuse box to my truck because I've added so many electronic stuff to it. This little guy under my fuse box, and that looks like a nest, but honestly, that's not that bad. That's fine. I added that just because I have more fuses, so I don't have to do add fuses and just splice into shit. So what I'm gonna do is I'll run the wires from that flashlight over to here. And another thing, because now I'm really getting into it, just here's how a project comes in, day-long process. I added one of these glove box lights to this truck. This is like one of the ones from LMC, and it's shit quality. It was garbage. It broke after like 2 months. So I'm gonna throw it away, and this truck just won't have one. But first things first, let's get this flashlight wiring reset up over there in that fuse box. All right, it's been 4 years since I started this project here. Finally have the flashlight wiring in there. That looks all terrible because I undid the zip ties. I'll make sure it looks all nice again. I'll re-illumine it together. And while I'm under here, the e-brake thing is completely loose for some reason. All these bolts are loose, and I've tightened them like 4 times. Oh, and while I'm doing that, the fuse on the very far left is blown. What is it? I have no idea. I can't remember. So now we get into that. This is just a perfect example of how you start a project, even in morning time, you start a project. 10 hours later, you started by cleaning up some wiring work, and now you're working on your e-brake cable, and you're like, what the I've been doing this for 10 hours, and I've been bleeding the whole fucking time. All right, we're gonna go back to the engine bay, and I'm gonna kind of do another round on it. 2 things I've always wanted to get rid of. I didn't even know that was there. But also this one right here has just bugged me. 2 little like plastic mount tabs with a weird bolt in the middle. I can't find an Allen key that fits it, so I'm just gonna drill them out. Okay, so because of the way the world works, it's now like 3 days later, 4 days, I don't even know. No, it's like a week later, it's Friday. Who knows? I drilled those out, and I pretty much got to a point where I'm calling it under here. I'm pretty happy with it. That right there, that's about as tidy as it gets. There's this 2 green wires going down for my neutral lockout, whatever, ignition, so, you know, start it in gear. It's never worked. So I think the switch is probably bad, but I just kind of taped them as part of the wiring for the coil. Maybe I'll make it work one day. Probably not, because it's nice to have. If your truck dies, you can get it off the road. Pretty happy with how this all looks here. I mean, again, you're adding stuff into a vehicle. There might not be a place for it, but still, this is a pretty good situation. I wish this plug was black. I might spray paint that black. Over here, fairly clean. It's fairly tidy. Could be a lot worse. I've seen much worse engine bays. This is actually very kind of tucked looking. Over here on the battery and everything. That hole again. And then inside, because I had to rewire the flashlight, this was all zip tied together, but I ended up re-zip tying everything together. You can see it, just the way it comes out of the fuse box there. And then I have a sub fuse box. And that pretty much wraps it up for everything. Perfect spot. Everything there and forward, I'm very happy with. I don't think the wiring's gonna get much better than that. There's not really anything else I can do. Now this right here, I was in a pinch one day and I needed trailer brakes. So first I sketchily mounted this into the truck, but I built a custom bracket for my trailer brake. Holds it right there, really nice. You can see it's just a piece of like 14 gauge steel bent, and then on the top where it mounts. But I just ran the trailer wiring. Yeah, I'm not proud of it. It was a spur of the moment thing, and then I haven't really needed them, so I haven't even thought about it. And it's not right. So we're gonna snip it here, pull it out, string it the right way. Okay, so that literally took like 10 minutes just crawling around. So yeah, now that's no longer a problem. That was something stupid. I should have just done that a long ass time ago. But I'm gonna call the truck as of right now. I mean, stuff breaks and I change stuff and I add stuff and take it out. As of right now, the wiring in this truck is my skill level. There's nothing in the truck and I'm like, oh, I could really, no, this is just, I think it's honestly totally fine. I don't have that wire there anymore. Follows the cab to the frame rail, and it follows the brake line down there. I just lied to you. The other side's bad. I never touched this. This is exactly how it was when I got the truck. I'll fix that eventually. Not right now though. Everything else, it has the only spot on the truck is that tail light, but it works great, so I leave it. But yeah, end of this part of the video.